Yeah, man. I actually love myself. Uh, I'm back again for like the fourth time, fifth, fourth. Doesn't really matter, but I am back. And to those who've been here before, this is the Back of the Class show, and I will be your host for this episode and every episode to come. You can just call me Dammy the Creator. Before we get into this, I would like if you could subscribe to the YouTube channel if you are watching on the YouTube channel. Also follow all of the socials for the show at Back OT Class Show on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. And also follow me. Follow me. Increase my follow count. Follow me at Dammy underscore the creator on Twitter, TikTok, and also on Instagram. There's nothing on my TikTok. Just giving a heads up. I might start creating content, but I am very unsure. Or like rather I would say I am very insecure. Because it's quite daunting. That app is quite daunting. But we'll see how the thing goes, innit? So yeah, I'm back. And this is going to be episode 1 of I guess quote unquote rebrand or whatnot. And just like people who were here before, I suppose. What happened was, the people I was working with, shit wasn't, it wasn't clicking as it was supposed to, and so I am on my ones. So yeah, that also even brings me to the next thing. If you're watching on the YouTube channel, I apologize in advance, I guess. I think the video is gonna be nice. I think the quality is gonna be okay, but if it's not, if I miss, I apologize in advance. I just wanna like give everyone a heads up. Like I am doing this on my ones, like alone. I'm recording, editing, doing all the things on my ones, and yeah, it's I don't have a lot of experience, so it's probably gonna be a bit shite at the start. But also, I really wanted to do this because it's gonna be a journey. Like I wanna watch myself get better at this as the time goes. So once again, if you're watching the YouTube channel, I apologize, but I promise if you persevere, it's gonna get better. It's gonna get better. But leave a comment, leave a like, and support me. Support my efforts because this is effort. It takes effort. But yeah, where do I start? Where do I start? Where do I start? Okay, what's the podcast gonna be about? So like the name's Back of the Class Show, so it's essentially it's gonna be whatever. It's gonna be anything because I don't know where I'm from. Like the kids who sat at the back of the class were usually like the troublemakers, but at the same time had were very prone to learning shit that they wanted to learn. Like when I think about it, like I was one of those kids, of course. But like me and my friends, like all of my friends, were actually super smart in certain areas. I'll put it that way. When it came to things that we loved, we were like very smart at it. Like for me, it was like math and physics, and I guess chemistry. For my other friend, it was computer sciences. Another friend of mine was like the electrical, because we had like a whole electrical study, like electrical installations and whatnot. For him, it was that, and like for my other friend, it was like essentially sociology, but like the Nigerian, so like civic education, so like things about like politics and shit like that. Oh, and a bit of history now that I think about it. So yeah, so like everyone had their own specialty, and like in other areas, if we didn't give a shit, we didn't give a shit. Just get the C and keep it pushing in it. So this is basically gonna be a podcast about anything and hopefully everything. I plan to have guests on as we go along, and hopefully a co-host at some point. But for now, it's just me. I think some friends of mine might be interested, but I'm talking to them, like trying to make sure that I can make it something that brings value for them as well. Like it has to be something they want to do as well, because in the past, other podcasts that I've tried with co-hosts, shit didn't exactly go too well. Motivation was lost by, yeah. Anyways, you know how the thing always goes. So hopefully I have co-hosts, and hopefully I have guests as well soon. I know a couple of my friends would be very down to join, and I'm just trying to like figure out how to do this and stuff. Which also brings me to, this is the pilot episode, episode 1. I am doing it alone because I really wanted to like get a lot of things out of the air, like just explain what the show's about, which I think I just did. Also, also like explain, yeah, like also like give a heads up that the video might be a bit shit, and also to make sure that I'm comfortable with like just, yeah, just doing this, because it's been a difficult decision. Well, not difficult per se, but like it's been hard a bit because, yeah, because like there's so many shows, so many podcasts, so many YouTube channels out on the internet, and they're like on like big ass studios with like very good quality cameras and shit and whatnot, and yeah, unfortunately, I don't have all of it. I have been trying to like gather stuff because I had to like, I need lights, I need video cameras, microphones, mixers, and shit like that. But you know, I low-key just decided, you know what, I actually cannot afford all of it. Like that's just a simple truth, English, truth. And I'm just gonna do what I can with what I have. So like for instance, I am not in the studio. I am literally in my bedroom. And I was just like, you know what, how can I spice up the things a little bit, and not just have a white background. And I was like, you know what? I have my very first painting with me. This is the very first painting that I ever did. Like ever. Like this was like, I guess 2 years ago. What's the, yeah, this was 2021. Shit. This is 2021. Literally the first painting I ever did, and it's one of my favorite ones because I low-key do remember what I was going through back then, and I just needed painting to like to get into the right headspace, because that was low-key a bad year. That was a bad year, low-key. But anyways, I was like, you know, I'm just gonna like decorate the sets with this and maybe some other paintings as the time goes. And hopefully someday soon I would actually be in a studio. Low-key talking to some people about that, and hopefully that clicks through and that happens. So yeah, that's that on that. Ooh, but if one thing is gonna be nice, the Spotify, the Apple Podcast and the Google Podcast the Google Podcast peeps are gonna have a good time, because I reckon my sound editing is really nice, because I do have some experience with that, unlike the video editing part. So yeah, but that's about that. What else? What else? What else? What else? What else? This is look like I look. You don't know what I mean. I have ideas of what I want to talk about, but I'm just trying to make sure I get everything out of the way before I actually start the show. But yeah, going back to like, yeah, what I'm going to be talking about as the time goes on. Yeah, like I said, it's going to be a bit of anything and everything, but I reckon it's going to have a lot of like sociology and like like political sciences and shit like that. Because yeah, I've been finding myself in that space recently, especially on my socials and like just IRL as well. But I would also want to give a heads up that if you are listening to this and if you are all watching this, I hope that you know that I studied engineering. So like, take everything I say with a heap of salt. Like that's my advice, because honestly, I don't know shit. Like when it comes to these aspects of like, I genuinely don't know a lot, and that's look where I want to do. I want to talk to like a lot of people and gather like perspectives and learn as I go, and focus on that, because personally, all my experience, or like all the things I'm going to be talking about, are like based on my personal life, based on the research that I'm going to be doing, but also it's like how much research can I actually do, because it's like I don't have access to a lot of the books that are locked away in like university libraries and shit like that. So I hope to have like a lot of people who actually have access to those and who can educate me. So there we go. And and yeah, I think that covers what the show's about. I think one of the thing I do have to talk about is like, why did I choose now? And that's the answer. And the answer is no reason. I just got tired of waiting. I just needed to like just get it over with, and try to get like a stride. Try to force the consistency. Not wait on other people, because I have been doing that a little bit. Not wait on other people, and just like on a fuck it vibe, because why not? It's like, yeah, fuck it. Like just we go how we go, we move how we move, and hopefully everything clicks through. And yeah, So at this point, oh yeah, at this point, I'd like to give a shout out to all of my friends who like, I guess, who were quite supportive actually. Not I guess, like they were supportive. So shout out to everyone, and shout out to everyone who actually helped in the little ways that they could with planning this. Like like going through the artwork, going through the sound bites, shit like that. So big up to everyone in it, and yeah, this is episode one. What do I want to talk about? Just since I just spent the last 10 minutes or whatnot just explaining the show, which is crazy. Uh, I had something planned for today. Like I had not something. I had several topics that I did want to explore. But I think now that I'm here, I'm gonna take a bit of a beeline, and just talk about something else. So recently I've been thinking about a lot. I've been trying to figure out what I want to talk about. And the options were like talking about capitalism, how much I hate it, talking about like the need for feminism and why the patriarchy is ass, or going to like personal life, talking about like the times that like women at the at the club tried to drug me, which wasn't even like one day, it was like several instances, which kills me. Because every time I think back to it, I'm like, damn, I could have gotten trafficked. But anywho, I was also thinking about maybe talking about like some past relationship ish or whatnot. But now that I'm here, I think I am going to talk about the fucking patriarchy, because I have been in a tough spot recently. Well, it's been a weird spot. I think weird is a better word to use, because I've been on this vibe of like, especially with like the fucking internet, bro. With like the internet just being everywhere. Like there's this fucking men with podcasts talking about, oh, high body count this, high body count that, fuck off. And then there's like women as well. Women on Women talking about like, oh, a man should have this, a man should pay for everything. A man I'm like, guys, relax. Like actually fuck off. Which is also a reason why I was like, do I really want to be in this space? Because yeah, especially with like all the bad like examples which are like on the spotlight of like, I guess, like I guess black people, like black men having shitty ass podcasts, and I'm like, do I want to be one of them? And I hope I'm not one of them. Like I hope to not become one of them, because I do understand that yeah, there's like a lot of like bitterness that causes people to change into that or whatnot. But I really hope. But it's also like, do I want to be associated with that? Because people make assumptions, and people are like, oh, that's a black man for a podcast, I bet he, like, fuck off. Like actually fuck off. And it's just like, yeah, but anyways, back to what I was going to wait yeah, back to what I was gonna say. The patriarchy. And yeah, the patriarchy has been a big thing, especially on like my timeline and shit, where it's like I have to like figure out like, okay, like obviously the patriarchy is bad, but what I don't seem to what I don't see a lot of people talk about is how the patriarchy is bad for men as well, because it seems like people are trying to keep it, like they're trying to keep hold to this patriarchal structure of like, I guess, men on top, women as subordinates, so like support roles, and like it doesn't make any sense, because I reckon if the patriarchy didn't exist, with my, especially where I am right now in life, it's like I'll be a lot happier, and maybe wouldn't even, okay, no, that's a lie. I definitely would still need my therapist, definitely, but I would have less to deal with during therapy, if that makes sense. Like I'll still need her, but like I'd have less, to actually tackle. And why do I say this? Because I was thinking, under a capitalist and patriarchal system, patriarchal structure, society, like my role, because I am a man, I identify as a man as of now, is my role is to basically be a provider. You know, that doesn't make sense, because if you know me, I want to be a princess. Like treat me like a princess. Like literally, that's what I want. Like, and it's so conflicting, because obviously growing up, especially for like people like my age, I guess, we sort of did grow up in a sort of still patriarchal system, even though it was slowly changing. But like growing up, there's the whole thing of like, oh, you're a man, especially in Nigeria where I grew up. You're like, you're a man, you should do this, you should do that, pursue this career because then you can make more money and like provide for like your fam for like a wife that you're going to have and this and that. And I reckon that brings that brings a lot of pressure. Like it comes with a lot of pressure. And there's also the aspect of like the patriarchy not allowing men to fully explore their emotions. So and then there's also the aspect of like, if you're not good enough, like if you're not good, you're bad as a man. Like there's this thing of like, if you falter in any way, like if you fall short in any minute way, you're you're basically evil. You're basically a bad person. You're basically a bad man. And that doesn't allow for like, that doesn't allow men, like, well, I'll speak from my personal experience, that doesn't allow me to like exist in the gray, because obviously no one exists at the extremes of the fucking spectrum. Like everyone exists in the gray, in my opinion at least. And so growing up, you slowly internalize that, and it becomes a part of your personality, and it becomes a part of you where it's like you become blinded to your faults, because accepting that you have faults would mean that you accept that you're evil, that you're bad, that you're not worth anything, you're not worth being loved and shit like that. And that's a harmful thing, because then not only does it stop men from fully exploring themselves and exploring their emotions and finding peace with who they are, but it also puts women in danger, because then women can't like exactly what's the English word, man? Women can't express to men that, hey, what you did or like what you're doing is sort of, it hurts, like it's not good for me, it pushes my boundaries. And because of that, because women can't express that, because if a man, because to a man, that essentially feels like, oh shit, you're telling me that I'm a bad person. But in reality, a woman is just basically saying, hey, this particular thing that you're doing is just, it's not clicking. And that puts women in danger, in the sense that I guess some men would then be like, shit, you're calling me a bad person. And I'm not a bad person. Like, so why are you calling me a bad person? And then there's this communication gap. And because of that, the man could essentially become angry or violent towards said woman. And yes, like it's things like this where it's just like, fuck. The patriarchy really is ass. Like the patriarchy is really booty cheeks. And it makes absolutely no sense. And I think I actually deviated. But anyways, we'll continue. Oh yeah, that's also something else. Hey, heads up, heads up. I might start off with a thought and then end up somewhere completely different from where I was, from where I started. Just giving a heads up like that. I do be speaking a little bit all over the place sometimes. And also another thing is, for this show, I plan, or I hope to add as much nuance to conversations as possible. So because of that, I might end up like going into different directions. I might start off talking about the patriarchy and just be like, you know what, socialism is a lot better. And it's like, ooh, which is true actually, which is something that I've been thinking about. The patriarchy, I think the patriarchy would be a lot more diminished in a socialist system than in a capitalist one, because once again, this is based on my research, my thoughts, my opinions. I genuinely I have no qualifications for this. I studied math. I studied numbers. Okay, I studied numbers. So once again, grain of salt and a heap of seasoning. Okay, but once again, like I was saying, I think in a socialist economy, compared to a capitalist one, I don't know. There might be other like systems. But like in a socialist system compared to a capitalist one, there'll be a lot more equality with the sexes, because capitalism is essentially English. It's essentially incentivized by gain, by profit, and that's the thing. And because of that, it enables men to be like, oi, I am I am as a man more profitable than a woman because XYZ, or like whatever, which is not true. But because there's that aspect of capitalism where it's like, ooh, the goal is to make more profit, spend less, make more. And then there's the whole thing of like, okay, so once again, nuance. It's like there's the whole thing of like men in a patriarchal structure are like are socialized, are raised to be more productive because like they are forced. They have the narrative forced down their throat of like your purpose in life is to provide. If you're not providing, you are a failure. And because of that, I guess in that sense, men are essentially, they grow up with the idea of like, okay, I need to work, I need to make profit, I need to be useful, compared to women where in a patriarchal society women are raised to be nurturers, to stay in the house. So in that sense, if a woman finds a job, like if a woman goes into a job, she's probably going into a job for like not on the vibe of like I want to provide for a family. It's more on the vibe of like I want to be independent. Like I want to be able to not need a man. Like I do not need a man, and so I'm going to get my shit myself. And in that sense, because in that sense, capitalism looks like said man is a little bit more desperate because obviously the patriarchy has said, oi, if you're not working, you're a bum. But it looks like women's like, you're unsafe. Like if I don't treat you well, so essentially as a capitalist, if I as a capitalist don't treat you well, and and you find an opportunity to get better treatment, you're going to take it because you know your worth. Essentially, you essentially know your worth, and fuck it, you don't need me, and that's the vibe. Like anyways, uh I low key lost my train of thought. But yeah, but I was just trying to explain like, yeah, so like in a social, yeah, I got it. In a socialist system where there is no incentive for like for profit, there is no incentive to make more and more money every quarter, which honestly doesn't make sense. How do capitalists actually believe that they can continuously create more profit over the span of a year, over the span of several years, every quarter in every year? Like that doesn't make sense because the whole thing is you create more profit by creating more product, and to create more product you need raw materials. So if you're continuously making profit and there is no end point, there is no point where you're like this is max profit. There is no max profit like defined in a capitalist society, in a capitalist system. So then when do you get to the finish line if there is no finish line? But we all know there is theoretically a finish line because the earth has a very limited amount of resources. Like there is an end point to the resources the earth can provide. But but capitalism requires there to be an infinite amount of resources. And so is the finish line even viable? But anyways, again, so like yeah, so essentially capitalism is not environmentally friendly. Look, guys, if my English is looking B Tech, just remember I'm Nigerian, okay? The language came to me with the boat, you know, it came with a boat. It's not my language. I am struggling. Uh, but yeah, but capitalism is not environmentally friendly. Like capitalism cannot survive in a society that actually cares about the environment. But obviously, I guess we all know that capitalists really don't give a shit about the environment, do they? But yeah, what was I trying to say? So yeah, in a socialist system where the goal isn't to create more profit, and in that sense, everyone is seen as equally essential to the survival of the society, to the survival of everyone, and things are made as need be. I think I think the effects of the patriarchy, obviously, men are entitled. Like that's facts. Men are entitled, and there probably would still be a way to be like, oh, but you're a woman, you can't do this as well as I, yada yada yada. But I think in a socialist system, there would be there would be less of a patriarchal structure because there isn't that much to like, okay, if you can do this better than me, go for it. Like it doesn't prove anything because you still bring the same amount of value to society as I do. And it's not, and there is no vibe of like, oh, you're a provider, I'm not. No, that like there's no vibe of that as well, because fuck it, everyone is bringing to the table the same thing regardless of what you do, and that way you can also account for everyone's differences and shit like that. And like, not everyone is a zombie in the workplace. Uh, but yeah, that's been like something I've been thinking about for like I guess a couple of days, maybe a week, maybe two. But yeah, I have an idea how long this has been. It feels like it's been 20 minutes ish, and that was kind of my goal, to kind of stop at the 20-minute mark. And so I'm gonna stop here for today, and I hope to see you guys next week. Before we go, I plan on posting every week. Excuse me. I plan on posting content every week. On Wednesdays. Yeah, on Wednesday. Excuse me. On Wednesdays, I plan to post content every Wednesday. So please tune in. Once again, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Subscribe to the Spotify, to the Apple Podcast, to the Google Podcast. Subscribe. And something that I do want to continue from like my last attempt is to have a Spotify playlist, or like maybe Apple Music as well. But to have a playlist so everyone can just fucking vibe to it and vibe and listen to the music that I've been listening to lately. And so for today, I'm going to start off with, three songs. Yeah, I'm going to start with 3 songs, and I hope the playlist continuously grows as the week goes. So this week I am going to be putting in SZA Kill Bill, because I hope to see her in concerts in a few weeks. I'm very excited. I hope I can make it. So I'm planning on putting SZA Kill Bill into the playlist. I'm also going to put SZA Shirt onto, like, Shirt by SZA into the playlist. And lastly, No Love by Summer Walker featuring SZA, because I love SZA. But anyways, that's the playlist. Once again, follow our socials, follow the show's socials at Back OT Class Show on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. And also follow me. Follow me on socials as well at Dammy_the creator on TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram. And once again, I would like to say a big thank you to everyone who supported me as the months went by, and also thank you if you listened up until now. I very much appreciate it. It's yeah, this is low-key been hard, and it really means a lot. So thank you, and tune in again next week. Bye.